Spooky season is here, everyone, and with it the urge to explore things that go bump in the night, investigate the scenes of ghastly murders, and avert ancient curses. You know, the good stuff. So here are my tips for running your horror TTRPG session. What's up, everybody? I'm Anne Richmond, aka Hearthsinger, the head bard in charge around these parts, and this is our obligatory All Hallows themed post. I love horror RPGs. I don't like to be scared in my real life, but there's something really freeing about being at the helm of a horror story. I don't know if anybody else feels like that. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. It's very much something that I think brings out the most theatrical parts of me, and I like the fact that it usually causes people to play with a certain amount of abandon and an acceptance of the end being near. Now, of course, just like everything, but especially for horror, you're going to want to do a session 0. Not just to find out what people aren't interested in, but what they are. You want the enthusiastic yeses to bugs, to drowning, to all of these things that, you know, for some people are just no-goes. And you just need to make sure that everybody's sort of Venn diagram of what they are and aren't interested in experiencing overlaps with enough room to tell an inspired tale. That way, once you know what everybody's excited for and what they're comfortable with, you can really lean into the genre and turn the screw, so to speak. So especially if you're running with new people, I recommend on top of that session 0 to run with X cards. These are a set of index cards that have symbols or colors for, yes, this is great, yellow, slow down, I'm not sure about this, or maybe let's like change to a new scene as soon as possible, or red, hey, we need to stop and talk about it, or just move away from this or take a break. So talk about what you want your X cards to mean, make sure everybody understands them and everybody has them so that everybody feels supported in their desire to do things that are meant to be a little bit uncomfortable, but never uncomfortable without enthusiastic consent. Now, especially if you're planning like a special one-shot to celebrate Halloween, like set the mood. Like, get out your candles, get out a cool tablecloth, hang some decorations, dress up for the theme of the genre. You know, all of this stuff really helps people just really lean into it. And the other thing I love to do for Halloween stuff is to do like a menu of cocktails and food. It's so easy to lean into the experience when folks are interested in that. It's like just, you know, south of LARP, and which is nothing negative about LARP, but some people like going that hard and that committed makes them anxious. But this is just enough a taste of it to let people dress up and have fun while not feeling like they need to create like an entire costume for the big celebration. Oh, also use music and ambient soundscapes. Go ahead and throw those on a playlist. And on top of that, because all of this sounds like a lot probably, I think something I've really been enjoying lately is having somebody at the table who's willing to hold on to the templates for spells and who's willing to pull up different sounds or pieces of music on my playlist. And yes, you are giving up some of your, you know, control, and especially with horror, it can be so tempting to kind of hold everything super close to the vest. But I really think that if you allow somebody to help you with some of those things, you can stay super tuned in and focused on the people around the table and being really like with them. And that helps move the pace and hold the tension high as you move through the story. Another thing I really enjoy doing with horror especially is getting up from the table and being able to walk around the table, moving behind people, so they can't always necessarily see where you are. It allows you to do good jump scare out of nowhere, or to approach somebody over their shoulder and whisper with that ghostly voice they heard in the stairwell. It just creates a more all-encompassing effect, and I like feeling a little bit like a monster. I'm not the monster, Jafar. You are. No, I am. It's me. I'm the monster. It's also like, if you can get your body doing something big and ridiculous, then sometimes you can short circuit your brain into thinking like, this is cool. I'm not being weird at all. And I think that can be really helpful for monsters, and for not just recognizing yourself as characters, but as the environment and the whole like taste of the experience itself. And hey, if you're nervous about like making big choices, practice your monster sounds and your villain voices, because your confidence in your ability to perform those things and recall them, it never has to be perfect, and it's never going to be. But if you try some of those things ahead of time, it sounds silly, but like even in the mirror, then you're like, yeah, I am going to look ridiculous, but I've accepted that about myself. And, the more you commit, the more it invites everybody else at the table to commit. And yeah, people might laugh, but it's a game and it's supposed to be fun. So have fun with it. Swing for the fences. Why not? And what kind of sounds? Like snarls of beasts lurking in the woods, or breaths making the curtains move ever so gently from side to side, or demonic voice from a possessed young girl who just wants you to get her birthday cake. I don't know what that was, but hey, if that's what the devil wants, is it so bad? Whatever you do, don't be afraid to be expressive and experiment. Now, I think your mileage might vary on this next one, but I think bringing levity into horror is fun, because you can't really get as many scares if people are always on their guard. You have to like build the tension and let that elastic snap back. Build the tension and then let it snap back. And sometimes that's because somebody is going to think of as a scare is actually not a scare at all, and then they get to be relieved, and then the scare comes right after. I mean, think about how that works in horror movies. It's the same at the table. And so I like to allow levity and laughter, and part of that is because like I spoilers, like to laugh. But I think that if you let them laugh and then you just wait for them to stop laughing, and then you're like, oh no, it's very funny, because right behind you, you hear your dead mother calling your name. And just let that moment sink in with them, and the laughter will be gone, but that moment wouldn't be the same without the laughter there, trailing into nothing, and then people realizing, oh shit, it's getting real. So let those moments happen. Let levity guide you, and then let the stakes rip it away. Every time I sit down for a session 0 with folks for a horror game, I encourage them to embrace the fuck it, it's a one-shot energy, even if it's not. Because what is a horror story without these wild, bold, survivalist decisions? Grab that lamp and smack it over the beast's head, or make that sacrifice to get the party out of harm's way. I mean, there's so many things that we get so precious about our characters and about the potential of losing them, that you sometimes lose your inspired moments of creativity in an effort to survive. And obviously, to win, you have to beat the boss, but sometimes it's about telling the most compelling story. So I think horror one-shots and beyond kind of give us the opportunity to embrace that potential end for our characters, and help us as both, on the player side and on the DM side, look for the best moment for a character's end to come about, to drive the story forward and the other characters forward. And as long as everybody is okay with playing like that, it can be awesome. So how do you make the stakes of the mechanics of your game desperate? Well, I would say don't be afraid of deadly encounters, especially once people have had time to experience their character. Like just killing someone off the bat without consent, especially at a party or a one-shot. It's like, thanks for coming. I guess you're dead now. I might be a little savage about that feeling because it's happened to me. And I will never pull from a deck of many things again, but that's neither here nor there. The important thing is just to let them experience the character and then hit them hard with something that could kill and let them drive all of their resources into it, and then hit them again with something a little bit less intense after that, or a chase scene or some kind of element where their resources are low, because that's what survival horror is all about. Especially when I think of like video games, like Resident Evil, it's all about, you're constantly collecting things and then up against big odds and having to use those resources as they come. So let them build, then deplete them, and let them build and deplete them. It's all about like quick wins and then heavy losses. And if you can get that sort of gear shift going in your game, it's going to feel like survival horror. So if you are curious about hearing me run some horror TTRPG material, you should head over to the Lost Mountain Saga, because I got to take the reins away from my dear friend Eleanor DiLorenzo. I got to be in the game master seat for our finale for this current season, and it was really awesome. I got to run a story that I wrote called Blood Tide, and I think you'll get to see some of these elements at work if you go and check it out. So definitely have a look at that. And I want to hear, what are your favorite horror TTRPG systems? I, for one, love 10 Candles and, of course, Vaesen and Dread, but there's so many out there. So hit up the comments section below. Let us know what your favorites are. And if you found this helpful video, then by all means give it a like. That helps us be discovered by more awesome players just like you. And please subscribe and come back for more, because I'd love to have you as a member of the Baby Bard community. So with that, I'm out of here. Bat! Did it work? Am I a bat? Imagine it in your minds if Helena didn't do it. And if she did, good night, everyone. I fly away. And if I didn't become a bat of some kind, this is all going to be hilarious. I've decided.